What's up, everyone? So today we're going to be talking about Virgo ascendants and how their life is like. Now, if you're new to my channel, ascendants are quite different than your sun sign and your moon sign. Okay, ascendants are literally the map of your entire life. Okay, because like the 12 zodiac signs, there are 12 houses in your birth chart, and that's what ascendant is. Ascendant is the first house of your entire birth chart, and each house is controlling your life, like your marriage, your education, your career, your friends, your home, your family life. Okay, so depending upon how planets are placed in these houses, that's how your life situation is. But what I'm going to give you is a basic foundation of what Virgo ascendant's life is like, their basic foundational pattern. Okay, and pretty much the ascendant is the time you were being born, and the sign that was rising from the east side where the sun rises from, that becomes your ascendant. So if you're being born here, you're coming out of your mother's womb, and let's say Virgo was rising where the sun rises from, that's your ascendant. And this could be any time of the day. Okay, so let's find out who Virgos are and what their pattern is like. So Virgo ascendant, okay, who are Virgo ascendant? Their first house, their personality, that represents their body. Okay, these guys are very, very calculative about their body, because Virgo represents a calculative, intelligent person. Okay, and it's ruled by Mercury. So they're very analytical when it comes to their self, when it comes to their body. They're very self-critical of themselves. They feel like, oh my God, you know, I'm not doing this right. I'm bad. I'm good. I'm terrible, even though they might be doing something good. Okay, so this is what their pattern is like. Also, when it comes to their body and shape, they're very critical of it. They feel like, oh, I need to lose weight. I'm getting fat. Even though they look skinny, they're always self-critical of their body. A little bit of weight and they go crazy. They're like, no, my body has to be this way. It has to be this way. And Virgo personality is those people that have to have everything neat and clean. Remember that a movie with, oh God, what's his name? I can't even remember the movie. I can't remember the disorder. Jack Nicholson. Remember that Jack Nicholson character who wants everything to be perfect? He takes these little weird steps, and that guy played the gay character in there. I'm sure I'll put it in the screen somewhere. Okay, so it becomes that everything needs to be proportionate, calculated. When they make a bed, the pillow has to be, you know, perfect, neat and clean. And so that's what their first house pattern becomes. But let's find out what their second house pattern is like. Now, usually Virgo ascendants, what happens with their family life and their assets and their family environment, because the second house represents that in their life, and it's ruled by the sign of Libra. So they're always trying to find a balance and beauty in their life. And what happens is usually foundationally, Virgo ascendant people have quite a chaotic life that they're born into. And their job is to find balance. See, everybody's living their karmic pattern. And this is why each ascendant is different. So these guys, since it's ruled by Libra, you know, trying to balance things out, trying to weigh in things, they're always wanting to find that balance in life. And because their challenge is that, they kind of run into hardship in family life. But they feel like, okay, no. Things are bad at home. No. Okay, what do I do? So they start calculating their personality. How do I make it balanced? How do I make it beautiful? You know, how do I make their family environment beautiful? So they're always lusting after that balance in life. When it comes to their siblings, their you know, short distance relatives and their everyday environment, they are quite deeply involved with these people. They become quite obsessive about these people, and depending upon, because it's ruled by Scorpio, you know, so their feelings are very deep towards this part of their life. They want to have a good relationship with their siblings, but depending upon how Mars is placed, it can be very violent and chaotic, or it can be very deep. But it's always the extreme. It's either it's very deep and good, or it's going to be just very violent and chaotic life. Okay, and this is why they also make very good writers, because third house represents the communicative ability, and it also represents the writing ability. So when they write, they write with deep feelings. Their emotional feelings comes into their hand, because third house represents the hand. So their emotions are always in the written word more than their speech. Okay, and when it comes to their family life, it is it becomes a very philosophical and very, religious oriented family life, because Jupiter rules the fourth house, and it's very good, but again, depending upon how Jupiter is placed, the family and the mother nourishment, either it's lacking that philosophical part of life, or it's not. Because, and what I mean by is this, the mother is usually very philosophical. The mother wants to instill wisdom into you as a Virgo ascendant, and the mother is also becomes a friend to you, and I'll discuss that why. Later on in life, you want your mother to be friends with you more than anything, okay? But when it comes to the education, the children, the creativity, that becomes a part of a duty. That's no longer a fun thing for Virgo. The fifth house represents fun and creativity and children and education, but it becomes a chore. It becomes a duty, because Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, rules your fifth house. Now, it can be a good duty, because sometimes people, they take pride in raising children, even though it's a duty. But mainly it becomes a very, disciplined duty. That, okay, I need to raise children, I need to study, and I need to be disciplined about it. And it usually is a very tough thing, this fifth house, because of the fact Saturn is a slow moving planet. So Saturn gives everything with time. So they may actually have a lack of education in the early life, but towards the middle life, or, towards the late 20s or early 30s, they want to really accomplish those goals. And the same thing happens with the sixth house. Sixth house is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is enemies, it's diseases, it's, lack of energy. So what happens is, fifth house is 12th to the 6th, okay? 12th to the 6th. And your energy and your cause of your illnesses happens because you have to dedicate so much stress and so much energy into raising children, into studying, into thinking the creative part of your life, okay? Now, when it comes to their seventh house, it's also quite different than any other zodiac rising sign. Now, their married life, okay, is ruled by obviously Jupiter, because it's Pisces. And what happens is, there are two things happening in their married life. First of all, they always tend to lean towards intellectual and intelligent partners who are actually academically accomplished. Like, they can be masters and PhDs, and they can be quite spiritual. However, obviously, depending upon the condition of the Jupiter, what kind of a partner you'll get, that's how it will depend. But what happens is, Pisces is also a very isolated and isolated sign that is also about the other realm. That is about things that you cannot understand. And so their partner, although intellectual, can also be a bit of a, odd personality. They might be into things that normal people will find it weird and awkward. Okay, and this can happen because of this Pisces sign on the seventh house of partnership. However, the family of the husband or wife is going to be quite spiritual and religious, but at the same time, there's going to be this little awkwardness. It's, really? Like one of those scientists who are brilliant, but then they're just awkward. They do things that are just awkward. They might be cannibals. I'm just giving an example. A scientist becomes a cannibal, and there are a lot of cannibal stories happening these days. So that's what happens, okay? Their family and joint assets, which is eighth house, their longevity, their energy level to fulfill their life vitality, it's quite determined, because it's ruled by Mars, the Aries, sign of Aries. So what happens is, they're very headstrong about their joint assets with their family, with their husband. Usually these people like to have a separate bank account. They like to, contribute into the partnership, but contribute with caution, and they want to be themselves. They want to be individual when it comes to their joint assets, because Aries represents individualism also. So they're very adamant about that. Look, I will contribute in the house, but let me just have my separate assets and accounts. Now, what happens when it comes to their religious beliefs and their higher learning, okay? And in their horoscope, Venus is controller of the wealth of the second house and ninth house of fortune and religious views, and all the higher values and higher esoteric learnings. Okay, so usually what happens with Virgo ascendants is that they tend to lean towards a religion different from themselves. Because Venus, anytime Venus aspects the ninth house or is sitting in the ninth house, they might marry somebody of a different religion, or they might marry somebody of a totally different culture, because that's what Venus does. But their religious views become very strong, because it's Taurus, the earthy fixed sign, of Taurus. So when they believe in a religion, they switch to it, and then they want to believe it, they want to follow it, unless it's damaged or damaged by a certain planet. But usually they are leaning towards a newer worldly religion that they can be headstrong about. When it comes to their learning, their career, they make very good writers and communicators, very good writers, because 10th house is ruled by Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Gemini is the original third house signifactor. That means the hands, writing of the hands. Okay, so they make very good writers, they make very good salesmen, they make very good teachers, they make very good media personalities, very good communicators, very good businessmen. Okay, very good businessman, because Gemini has that energy to switch from one side to the other. And in sales you need that, in business you need that. You need to act this way with this client, act that way with that client. They're not very adamant about sticking to one side of personality, so they're quite adaptable when it comes to dealing with different people in businesses. So they're very good in these in the aspect of writing and communication. Now, those people who are so close to their friends that sometimes their friends become more important than their family. Why? Why do they have such an emotional tie with their social circle and their friends? Because Moon controls the 11th house. And Moon is emotions. Moon is deep emotions. So they're emotionally connected to their friends and social circle. And Moon represents the mother. And this is why mother becomes that friendly person. If Moon is situated well, mother will always be the friend instead of just the mother. And mother has that social ability to, your mother would be very social in life. She would want to go and connect with other people, and she would have been this influence where your mom is having all these gatherings and parties, and this is how you kind of grew up. Now, if the Moon is damaged, of course you'll have the opposite effect. But usually, if it's a neutral or good Moon, your mother is very social. Your mother is that source of connection, to the social world. And when it comes to their meditation, their spirituality, their world of spiritual being, that could be quite troubling, because the sign of Leo is controlling the 12th house, and Sun is controlling that. So Sun really makes it bright, this 12th house. It really makes it bright, and so bright that it's heat, it's hot. And usually their enlightenment houses, which is the house 12th, 4th, and 8th house, are being ruled by fiery planets. So what happens is their ego dominates their spiritual life. Like, they want to become at one point very spiritual, and they want to be appreciated as a spiritual higher learning being. And externally you might not see them. You might actually see them as a spiritual person, but internally their ego is driving that. Their ego is saying that, yes, I want to become that spiritual person that everybody appreciates. I want to become that spiritual person that everybody adores. And this is kind of a struggle that they have to go with, because of the fact that ego comes into play. Because ego is that fiery nature, and ego is controlling the 12th house of dreams. But they're very creative though. Sun is creativity. So the creativity comes in, but it comes in with a lot of ego within it. Okay, they think they're very proud about their internal soul and their spiritual world. Okay, so guys, this was my analysis on Virgo ascendants. Hope you enjoyed it. So if you're new to my channel, subscribe above, because a lot more of this fun stuff coming, educational stuff coming. If you want to know more about astrology and true astrology, how you can find thyself, check out my link below. Check out my book there, Astrology at the Speed of Light. My articles there, all my other material there. you'll enjoy it. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.